let's rip on Destiny 2, yay! But all jokes aside, that's what I will legitimately be doing, so if you're a big Destiny fan, spare yourself the raised blood pressure, the wasted time typing out a giant paragraph comment, and the wasted minutes after that replying when you inevitably get trolled. But now to the actual video. Destiny 2, just like the title says, is just a worse version of Destiny 1, except for the key part where it costs more money. The thing that did me in and made me cave to this video, despite the fact I had originally intended to be done covering Destiny 2 in its entirety, was the return of random perk rolls. That was the final straw for me. The Forsaken King, as it honestly should be called, given its striking parallels to the Taken King, which boosted the original game by a huge margin, actually has a large amount of content, and some of it is really, really cool. I can't just bash the game because some of the things on the horizon are most likely great, but they are indeed on the horizon. We aren't there yet, and how we get there matters a ton. The best Destiny 2 content drop coming in year 2, which is the Forsaken, will require all players to purchase both previous expansions, in addition to its larger price tag of $40 US. It's a profit squeeze, a really blatant one, and the Destiny community, by and large, is sick of this. I am taking a bit of a liberty by saying that. Almost everything I have seen points to the community, on average, being completely fed up with Bungie, Activision, and their practices, but there are surely some players and guardians who don't care and love every second of the game. So I am making a broad statement by saying that. Take it for what you will. This in and of itself, the requirement of purchasing one trash DLC and one middle of the road DLC in order to get the real good content drop, which obviously had the most work and actual thought put into it, is not going to rebuild credibility or goodwill. What's clear right now is that Guardians are sick of the garbage anti-consumer practices, but what also seems to be the case is their enduring willingness to return, since so many people have so much history with the Destiny franchise and would be open to picking it up again if it is deserving. Bungie knows this, and they are capitalizing on it. They have gated the good stuff, the content that essentially turns Destiny 2 into a mirror version of Destiny 1, albeit with some added bells and whistles, behind the biggest paywall that they thought they could get away with, and they didn't even just stop there. Enter the annual pass, aka a bunch of stuff that we used to get wrapped up in actual DLC, extracted on its own, with a $35 price tag slapped on. Oh, and by the way, you can't pick and choose. These are all groups, so if two of them turn out to be garbage, sucks to suck. I think everyone can see this trend. They have dissected a whole bunch of honestly subpar content that used to be given to players in large, semi-reasonably priced packages, and are now individually pricing it all at higher rates than the previous game. Then they're grouping all the best pieces into one larger, more meaningful drop, but forcing everyone to buy all of the subpar crap they don't want, or they cannot play the good stuff. This kind of behavior is honestly astonishing. Gone are the days when Bungie was revered for the Halo series, and now we even have similar 10-year plans being unveiled by games like Anthem from EA and BioWare, which has me more nervous than I can even articulate, because if that 10-year plan turns out anything like this 10-year plan, I won't be able to stomach it, and I won't be playing that game. This is where I'm going to rapidly devolve into just trash-talking Bungie and Destiny 2, like I haven't been already, but it's going to get even more intense, so be warned. So, with that in mind, brace yourself. A huge chunk of the content we have seen and will likely continue to see in the game is just reskinned stuff that was cut from Destiny 1. There are articles about all of this. Large zones cut from Mars or Mercury to be used later in the sequel. What does that sound like? Or worse yet, rather than even reskinning content from D1, they don't even reskin it. They just put a new title on it and throw it into a DLC with some other crap. To go even further, they have drip-fed players the same systems and modes that were previously in the final version of the original Destiny, and are now, finally, backtracking on the choice of primary weapon changes and fixed perk rolls. This is where I lose it a little bit, or a lot depending on where you're standing. I am okay with getting raked over the coals in my comment section on this video because the unbelievably naive hype machine that is modern gaming culture and reporting will likely gloss over the fact that the community, creators, streamers, basically everyone except Bungie have been preaching this since day one. Having fixed perk rolls on weapons was and is an idiotic mistake that baffles me to no end. Bungie proceeded to then double down on this decision over and over and over. Fixed rolls are here to stay. We believe in this decision. It's for the better. Blah, 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 blah. But lo and behold, now they are backtracking because they were wrong the whole time. I would have respected Bungie so much more, rather, nay, regained a lot of respect for them if they had just up and said, "We are sorry, we were stupid. Something that obviously was a bad idea got forced in, and then we treated you all like children who don't know what you want when you told us it was a dumb idea, and now we're doing it because it was a supremely dumb idea, and we apologize." We will never get that, but it's fun to hope. The joke is, this comes after players have repurchased all the stripped out features. This comes after Destiny 3 is already in the works, just like previously when Destiny 1 launched and they had already started working on Destiny 2 soon after. And if you think they aren't stripping down content from the current failure of a game to parcel out for the next iteration, then I don't know what to tell you, because that would make you the type of consumer that they love at this point. All this makes no mention of the Eververse, and I will intentionally keep it that way because that could be an entire video in and of itself. A lot of times videos like this result in the creator getting flamed by fanboys, called out on social media and put down for being toxic, but I firmly believe that the industry needs more channels that speak with this sort of unmitigated direct honesty. Even if it's phrased in a way that melts a couple of snowflakes or ruffles some feathers at a development studio, it's necessary. When you have mainstream gaming news outlets participating in predictable hype cycles to sell rushed, incomplete games that then display staggering trends of anti-gamer and anti-consumer practices, things need to be called out. However, when calling out failures in games, it's important not to misdirect that justified frustration. The physical developers, the men and women behind the screen coding the game that you play, are not to blame. They are underappreciated, likely underpaid for the amount of work that they shoulder, and when it comes to the decisions that run a franchise like Destiny into the ground, they are not behind the desk. We should all keep that directly in mind. The Forsaken expansion will have some cool things, yes, admittedly, but at its core, it is a shady monetization tool that simply backtracks on faulty design decisions and reintroduces a bunch of features that we already had a year ago in an objectively better version of what we are playing right now. Yes, there is a pretty cool new mode. That part looks fantastic and creative and exciting, but it's a prop, a tool, an incentive being used to spike sales, as they force you to pay a hell of a lot more than you should need to if you want to continue with the Destiny universe. I've been asked time and time again what my thoughts are on the Forsaken expansion and whether or not I believe it will save Destiny 2. My answer: parts of it will be cool. It will spike the player base temporarily. It will give Destiny 2 a splint for its broken leg, but regardless of how you treat a broken leg, you are crippled until it heals, and to continue walking on it does not allow it to heal. That's what Bungie is doing with their monetization model, walking on a broken leg and treating it with meds and other half measures, which has already had and will continue to have an irreversibly detrimental effect to the health of the body as a whole. Destiny 2 is just Destiny 1, but worse. It costs more, it has worse endgame, worse progression, worse customization, and all of it is slowly being walked back to create a near cloned game that you paid extra for over the course of a few years. Bungie is even contemplating selling Destiny as a whole, which would fit right in with my predictions in a previous video that Destiny has effectively killed itself. It will zombie on for some time before finally kicking the bucket, but they will never deliver on the 10-year plan, and future content will be cancelled by one or more parties involved. Bungie's name recognition overall is one of the primary reasons the game has sold as well as it did. It's one of the biggest support beams holding up the creaking failure as they milk it for all it's worth. But when that too disappears, with player sentiment at an all-time low, or near to it, considering the Forsaken may offer a bit of a bump in that department, despite its ridiculous pricing model, it will spell the end of the title, the concept, and the grand experiment of how much money can we squeeze from our player base before they break. The player base numbers are now pretty much hidden. Bungie made sure to shut down their API when things got rough in that department, but the downward slide that we saw in the lead up to that hush-hush move has not reversed at all. It may have slowed down, sure, but the game is in a state of decline, and it has been since launch. Each time they force players to buy something they don't want, or double down on their bad decisions and greedy practices, they cement the new age of Bungie's image, and it is not a positive one. Here's where we open it up to the comments. Normally, I would go on some holier-than-thou rant regarding being decent to each other and having a civil discussion, but videos where I set an example on the opposite end of the spectrum and call people idiots while leveling nearly non-stop criticisms at a game, it would feel really disingenuous to have that kind of rant at the end of a video that takes that tone, so I won't do it. What do you think of Destiny 2 and its DLC model, its pricing, and the future plans? I've heard a lot of feedback insinuating that Bungie have learned that this is the turning point and the game will be saved. The future is bright. Maybe. I don't think so. Probably not. What do you think? Marred in scandal, Where is it headed? As always, you can check out the various links down below: Facebook group, Discord server, our own gaming forums, etc. And I do live stream on Twitch here and there if you like that kind of thing. I am also leaving a link to the Upper Echelon temporary merchandise store down in the description below if you want to pick up some UE apparel. I'll cut it there though. Thank you for watching, and have a nice night.